Good afternoon. My name is Lavette Moore, and I am a student at Wayne State taking courses in um, information science, information library science. Um, as a collector, I collect many things. Many things I collect. Some of the things I collect are um, it's so many until I have to really think about it. My house is like I won't say a hoarder, but a couple of things I collect is postage, vintage postage stamps. I collect silver spoons as well as the small ones, silver forks. I also collect mugs. Many of my friends have traveled and they ask me, "Well, Lavette, what do you want me to bring you back?" And I always tell them, "Bring me a mug back." So I have this collection of mugs from all over the world, many different states, countries, and things like that. I also collect magazines because I have vision books, vision boards. I love creating all different kinds of vision boards, and I have vision books that I make with different visions. I collect keep the hair books. I make vision books with the magazines. I collect the magazines. My favorite one is High Pair. One of the magazines I collect is Motor Trend, and because I love cars, trains, and trucks, so I collect the magazines and create vision boards, and I do a lot of crafting with children. So I collect the magazines to create projects that I do with the library and some in my community at the community center. Um, how do I use the library? The library is where I work. I've been working for Miami-Dade Public Library for the last 30 years. Um, so how do I use the library? I use it every day. I check out books. I'm a constant reader. I have books everywhere in my house. I have books in the kitchen, books in the bathroom, books in my bed, on my bed, books in the living room. So I check out a lot of books. Um, the last book, the latest book that I'm reading is J. California Cooper. She's a short story writer. She is deceased at the moment. She's deceased. Um, but she's one of my favorites. She writes short stories. Another book, another book that I've read recently is Queen Sugar. That was one of our last term in my the women's club that I found. That was our group reading book club book. Um, Another book that I read was by Charlemagne the God. He's one of the spokespersons on the Breakfast Club, and he wrote a book called Shook One and another one called Black Privilege. So I, I've I've read both of those. I also use audiobooks. Audiobooks is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite tools at the library that I use. I constantly, when I'm driving, I'm listening. Um, you know, I'm a nonfiction reader. Um, a lot of the books that I read are how to DIY. So I'm constantly in that area. I'm in the business area, always reading because I do a lot of legal research, pulling documents and things like that because I work for the library in the area where I work, in the building that I work. Most of the people they are looking for, they're going to court. They want you to print a motion. So I'm always looking, trying to find information for patrons that visit the library. What type of library do I work in and do I use every day? Is the public library. The services that I use all of the services at my library. I use Hoopla, which is online. I use Access 360. I use Interlibrary Loan. Um, one of my children, I have four children. One of my children, we order his school books. He's in nursing. We order his school books through Interlibrary Loan because they're so expensive. I do order my books sometimes from Interlibrary Loan, my school books. I use I go to many of the adult programs at different locations. Some of them are quilting. Some of them are they do a lot of still painting at different locations. I always do the Black History programs every year because most of the time they have someone that I want to find information about. For instance, last year they had one of my favorite people, Marvin Dunn. He did a lot of history on Miami, the riots, Rosewood, and all those places. He's been instrumental in finding old information in those areas that I'm interested in learning about. So I, he came. They hired him to come out and do a program during Black History Month, and I went. So the adult services I use a lot. My granddaughter, she's 6. Um, she's into the tutoring, and she's also in Project Art. And Project Art is a program that the library, Miami-Dade Public Library, hire every year. They have local artists that do art with the children at the library every week, one day out of the week. And I make sure that my grandbaby is always there. Also, we have a tutoring program where we hire um, teachers from the local school, Miami-Dade Public Schools, and they're there every week for tutoring. So my granddaughter is a part of that. I also encourage the children in my community, the parents, to bring their kids to the library for those programs. So we do use that program. Um, Also, we have a lot of um, things on our website that's useful for um, any family. We have testing. We have for any test that you're taking, like the ASVAB. Um, at some point, one of my family used the ASVAB, the testing site on our website. So our website is very useful for. We have homeschooling. Miss Humblebees is the name of the program that a lot of the parents use that homeschool their children. So it's a rare programs that I know about that I encourage people to use. At one point, I did use them, and it's the public library. Um, so collecting, I'm glad that question was asked because I'm a collector. When I go to all the thrift stores, local and when I'm traveling, and I look for things vintage. I'm always looking for vintage, so I'm a collector of vintage items. Um, just recently, I just went to the thrift store and I bought 4 albums of baseball cards, wrestling cards. So I'm in the process of going through those cards at the moment because I collect. I have Cracker Jack cards from when I was a little girl. So I collect cards, vintage postage stamps. I have vintage postage stamps. I collect small spoons and forks to make jewelry. And I also collect mugs at the present time. So, um, as for me, I'm done, and thank you for having me.